Your phone goes off, you have about 5 seconds, and in those 5 seconds, your brain is already having a full argument with itself. Is it worth it? How far is that? What is it actually paying? And why does this DoorDash app make me feel like I'm solving a puzzle every single time? Here's the thing. The very first place your eye lands in those seconds on an order screen, everything about how this work has trained you, by the wins, by the losses, by the runs that paid great and the ones that burned you so bad you still think about them on your next shift. Today, I want to have a conversation about that moment, because not every driver's eyes goes to the same place when it comes to a DoorDash order, and everybody thinks that they're right, including me. So let's actually talk about it. Now, I've done more deliveries than I can probably count on DoorDash, and the way that I make that split decision today is nothing like how I made it like a year ago, even 5 years ago. It has evolved. I've got stress tested by reality, by real money lost and real money gained. And what I've learned from talking to drivers out there and in this community is that every driver has their own method on how they accept the DoorDash order. And every driver believes in their method. And every method has a reason behind it, a real reason. Usually a scar because he got burnt. But here's what I also know. Every single method has a blind spot, including my own. And I think the most honest thing I can do is put all those methods just on the table and have a conversation about what each one protects you from and what each one might be quietly costing you money. No rules, no lecture. Let's just talk about it. Okay, so you look at miles first. A lot of drivers do, and I get it. I genuinely get it, because that is a big factor for myself. You figure out something out early that a lot of drivers take forever to figure out. Once you accept that offer, the miles are locked in. The restaurant doesn't get closer, the customer doesn't move, so your brain said, screen for distance first. Don't even process the money until you know the ask is reasonable. And I'm not going to tell you that's wrong, because that instinct almost certainly came from somewhere real. Probably from accepting a long run at some point, doing the mental math afterwards and going, wait, that totally wasn't worth it. But here's where I want to push back just a little bit, because this is a conversation, right? Miles and time are not the same thing. Distance is not cost. I've had short runs that robbed me blind. 3 miles, 8 minutes of driving, 20-minute restaurant waits, impossible parking. By the time that delivery was done, I had burned more time and more wear and tear on my car than a 7-mile run that moved clean and dropped me back in my zone. Miles tell you how far you're going. They don't tell you how long. And in this work, time is the resource that actually determines your hourly rate, not distance. So if miles are your first look, definitely keep it, but add time awareness to it. That's the next level of making good decisions on DoorDash. Now, you look at the total amount first, and I see you, and I expect you to, and you made a leap that takes some drivers a long time to make. You work for money, bottom line, not for low mileage numbers, not to feel productive, for money. So when an offer pops up, you want to know what it pays before you even care what it asks. That's logical. That is prioritizing the output and what you're putting in your pocket. I understand that. But I say this with absolute love. You already know probably what I'm about to say. You've been burned by this before, because that number on your screen is not always the real number. DoorDash does not always show you the complete tip at the offer stage. What you see is the floor, not the ceiling. There are genuinely good tippers out there who are completely invisible when you're making that call, because if you're in the tier system, you'll see a plus sign. If you're not in the tier system, you won't see anything. And I'm not saying that to tell you to gamble on hidden tips. I am not. Look at it for face value. I am absolutely not saying that. What I am saying is that that number is incomplete information, and this app is designed exactly that way on purpose. The amount shown tells you something. It does not tell you everything. If total amount is your first read, pair it with something else, because making a full decision on half the information is how good drivers get quietly drained over long shifts. Some of you have a formula, a specific number per mile you won't go below, a rule you built and swear by. And I'm going to be straight with you here, because this community is too real for anything less. I personally don't run that formula. After years, my decision is more instinct with calculation. When that offer pops, I'm not doing math, I'm feeling. And that feel is calibrated by thousands of deliveries, but I am not you. And if a formula keeps you from making emotional reactive decisions when your brain is tired and the app is throwing offers at you back to back, then your formula is doing its job and it's doing what it's supposed to. Rules exist because discipline matters when everything feels chaotic. Let me tell you, DoorDash definitely feels chaotic sometimes. Here's the conversation I want to have with you though. Does your formula account for time? For where that delivery leaves you when it's done? If the formula only answers the money question and skips the time question, there is a layer missing, and that missing layer might be costing you more than the formula is saving you. Formulas are the starting point, $2 per mile. A lot of drivers go by, but that's not the ceiling. Keep building on it, and don't be too stuck on it to realize that there's other things that go into factor in making order decisions. And then there is the driver who leads with the restaurant. And I want to spend a little time here. What you are describing, it's not a beginner strategy. What you are describing is a pattern of recognition. You made enough deliveries to know which ones move fast, which ones make you stand in the lobby for 15 minutes, which ones have a customer base that tips consistently. You are reading information that is not on that offer screen at all, except for the restaurant name. You are reading your own experience. That is definitely a skill, and it cannot be downloaded. It gets built over real time doing DoorDash and real deliveries. My only pushback with this is don't let it override everything else. A great restaurant attached to a genuinely bad offer, I'm going to tell you, it's still a bad offer. But as a tiebreaker on a borderline call where everything else is roughly even, knowing that restaurant runs clean and tips well, that is elite level thinking right there, and own it. So here's where I'm going to get real with you. What actually happens in my brain when an offer pops up? I don't have one filter. I have a feel, and that feel considers multiple things simultaneously in about 2 to 3 seconds. Total amount, miles, the time of day, what zone am I in, and the one nobody talks about. Where is this delivery leaving me when it's all said and done? That last piece, positioning. That's the conversation I almost never hear drivers having, and it might be the single biggest difference between sometimes making a $200 day or like a $150 day doing the exact same number of hours. Every order you accept places you somewhere on a map, and that location either sets you up for your next order or it doesn't. A run that pays $18 and drops you in a complete dead zone with no restaurants and where you sit for 25 minutes waiting for a DoorDash order. That's not the same order as a $14 run that drops you right back into the heart of a zone where you can get order after order. I know some of you are watching this right now and going, okay, Kim, I never even thought about that. And I hear you because I didn't even think about this years ago either. Nobody told me this. I had to figure it out the hard way. The drivers who stop just surviving this work and start actually building something, they start thinking about their whole shift, not just one order in front of them. I always say go by $1 per hour a lot of the times. And that's why I say I make a lot of decisions based off of emotion, because is this order going to get me to where I need to get to, which is $25 to $30 an hour? All of that combined, but I achieve that because a lot of times I don't waste dead miles traveling all the way back when I can be somewhere taking orders and consistent money flow. Here's what I want to leave you with. There is no single right method. Your approach is built from your own experience, your own market, your own zone, your own car, your own financial reality. What works in one city or my market won't always work in yours. What worked for me a year ago, maybe two, might not be right for where you're at right now, and that's completely okay. The only wrong answer, the only one that will consistently drain you, is not having an intentional approach at all. No filter, no baseline, just reaching to whatever the app throws you with zero awareness of what's going on around you. And you're just accepting orders blindly, or you're not accepting any orders at all, which you're making zero money. That is where this work breaks a lot of dashers. Whatever your method is, own it. And it's okay to switch it up. Nothing's saying that it's set in stone every single order. I have to do it this way. You can change it up and experiment, and maybe you'll find a better method. But keep asking what it doesn't account for, because the gap between good and great in what we do is usually not the method itself. It's the blind spot inside of it. Now, I want to keep this conversation going, so I need you to go into the comments right now. When an offer pops up, what is your very first thing your eye goes to? What is the first thing you look for? And it hasn't ever burned you. Go ahead, be honest. Judgment free zone here. While you're there, what is your overall method in accepting a DoorDash order? While you're down there commenting, go ahead. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, everyone, to give this video a like. This one is up next. I'll see you over there.